Hey everybody, John here from IncomeMesh.com. I want to welcome you to this one-day product creation masterclass. So in this course, Hey everybody, John here from IncomeMesh.com. Hey everybody, John here from IncomeMesh.com. I want to welcome you to this one-day product creation masterclass. You're going to get a ton of value from this course here, and you're going to be able to create your entire business model from an honest day's work and a little bit of extra tips and tricks I'm going to show you in this class here. So everything you need to build out your first information product business, and not just a single info product, but actually an entire value ladder. All these terms we're going to talk about in this course. There's going to be a lot of information thrown at you very quickly. Be sure to take some notes, and I have a lot of additional resources packaged in with this training class to make sure you're successful. Okay, so let me just get started here by asking you, how many of you have thought of this? I know it's important to build your own products and build your own business, but who am I to write or create a course? I'll be honest, even I have felt this way on these points as well. It's okay. You're allowed to feel this way. We'll talk about that in a second. Have you thought about this? I just don't have the time to do all the work to build an online product, researching it, designing it, actually doing the copy editing and selling it and all this work. There's a lot of work that goes into it. We're going to cut through a lot of that in this course here. Or maybe I'm just not a writer or a content creator or a teacher or whatever the case might be. It's all just self-sabotage. Don't worry, we're going to overcome that here as well. And finally, who would actually listen to me, right? So it's not your fault if you've ever felt this way, because creating a product is something that we are really conditioned from, the age of school, that it takes years and fancy diplomas and all these accolades and things like that and big publishing deals to accomplish. And that's 100% false, especially with Kindle Direct Publishing, which we're not going to cover in this course. But, right now we're in this era where anybody with a voice can create a platform to sell and build their own business. And I'll show you my favorite way, if you're not a writer, to accomplish that here. Also, life has so many responsibilities that to actually sit down and write that book never bubbles up to that top of the priority list. How many of you wake up and you're like, nothing to do today, let me jam out a chapter of my next novel or my next course book or anything like that? That never happens, right? So we're going to cut through that here as well. Or maybe the ads that you've always seen about product creation, it shows people who have already achieved this big goal. Maybe they're 8-figure club members, or they've done so many things and helped so many millions of people that you just feel like, who am I to even try to, even if you're not competing with them, but to stand on the same stage, it just doesn't make sense to you. It's okay. But what if I could show you a way to create your very own marketable and sellable, not only sellable, profitable, you actually make some money and actually change your life from this method here, build your own information product business in less than an honest day's work, right? We're going to cover that here. And also how that single product that we're going to build here can multiply into an entire value ladder that can be sold for upwards of $1,000 to $2,000. We'll talk about some price points and some strategies on selling that as well. And the idea of you're creating a linchpin, you're creating like this single product that an entire business can blossom out of without a lot of additional work in the product creation phase. That's going to be really, really exciting when we show the value ladder here to you. And also why you should be doing this, even if you don't consider yourself to be a writer or an expert in the field. Don't worry, you won't be writing it, and I'll show you some ways to think about it that even if you're not an expert and you might be thinking, who am I, we'll be able to overcome that as well in this course, okay? So if any of that sounds good, then great, fantastic, you're in the right place, because that's what we're going to cover here in this course, the one-day product creation masterclass, okay? So let's go ahead and dive right into it, and here's what we're going to cover today. So I'll show you the step-by-step process. We'll get into the weeds. I'll show you my screen, exactly how this all plays out, and we'll show you the process to finally launch your first information product business that can be sold profitably, even using cold Facebook traffic. So if you don't have an email list, if you don't have a huge Instagram following or anything like that, how you can create a sales funnel that allows you to profitably build your list and build your top line revenue and your bottom line profits using cold audiences that allows you to also build authority in your space at the same time. Cool. I'll also show you a transformational framework that can multiply your efforts in this process from a single product into an entire offering lineup, which is going to be fantastic. And I'll also show you and share with you every single tool you'll need to get that process completed efficiently and profitably. And I'm thinking through, there might be one premium tool that we're going to show you here, but there's also free alternatives for pretty much everything I'm about to show you. Okay, fantastic. All right. So before we dive into it, you might be wondering, why create your own products, right? Like there's a lot of work involved and things like that. And it's true, you don't need to. Many people have made millions of dollars online without ever generating their own product or creating and doing the research and development and marketing of their own product, right? There's other ways to make money. You could do affiliate marketing. You could do sponsorship deals. You could even do just freelancing and service work, or just be a viral blogger that posts funny pictures and make money off of Google AdSense and Mediavine and other ad revenue sources. And there's many, many more ways of making money online. That's not the purpose of this. I'm going to make the argument of why everyone, I believe, should create their own products. It should be a goal of every entrepreneur. Because with any of these previous methodologies, you don't really have pricing control. Yeah, sure. Okay. So if you're doing sponsorship deals, you can name your price. And if you're doing freelancing, you can say yes or no to deals if they work for your pricing. But with affiliate marketing and ad revenue, in most of the ways you're making money off of other people's platforms or other people's products, you don't have control of the pricing, which puts you in a very vulnerable state if all of a sudden the agreement that you made gets changed and it's not as profitable for you, right? So you have pricing control when you own your own products. You also have the terms control, right? So going back to affiliate marketing, if a company decides that you violated their terms because you promoted their product in a way that they didn't deem was right for you, right for their brand, all of a sudden a huge chunk of your income could be gone. It's almost like getting laid off at work. Like you just get fired from that affiliate program. Now, it doesn't happen often. And if you are a good affiliate marketer, you shouldn't have to worry about that. But ultimately, the only thing you can control are your own products. Everything else is in somebody else's ownership, and you just have to play by their rules. So make the rules yourself by having your own product lineup, right? Additionally, authority. So affiliate marketing, ad revenue, all these things, they're fun, and you can build some authority by showing that you're an expert in this tool that you're recommending to people, but you can build way more authority if it's your own book you're writing and you're selling and you're teaching people, because I guarantee you, as we'll cover in this little mini course here, you have something to teach and people want to learn from you. And so building that authority, when you hear, hey, I wrote a book and it teaches X, Y, and Z, and my students have achieved these results, that's an instant authority builder. It's a fantastic way to grow your business and brand more than just making money, but also having a huge impact in the world. And finally, profit margins. So the method we're going to teach in this course here is selling digital products, which means the cost of goods sold is pretty much nothing. And you'll be able to take back a lot of the money and reinvest it into your business or into the next Disney vacation or whatever you choose to do. You have the profit margins because you're selling your own products. You're not having to make an affiliate cut or anything like that. It gives you a lot of flexibility in how you grow and scale your business. All right, so I hope that makes sense, but you might be asking yourself now, can I really create a product, right? Like, who am I, right? How many times have we said that? Who am I to do this certain thing here? So let me just tell you right now and first and foremost that you can do this, because if you're like me, I have not always been a very confident person, introvert by nature. Speaking in front of crowds has been like a huge, give my heart palpitations, and it's really hard to do. So you might be thinking that you're not qualified for this, or who would buy from me, et cetera, et cetera. We talked about all those limiting beliefs earlier on in the course. And this is normal imposter syndrome, right? Like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but that's nothing special. If you feel that way, everybody feels that way. And it can stop so many entrepreneurs, and it does stop so many entrepreneurs in their tracks before they ever begin. And not only is that entrepreneur at that point, not served by those feelings, but also the entire world who could have benefited from that person's message. They are not benefiting either because he or she chose not to share that message. So I want to help you get over this. This is going to be like an entire psychology course or anything like that, but I want to give you some actionable tips and guidelines to kind of get over yourself, like in the most respectful way possible. Like, I don't mean that in a rude way, because I have it too, but it's how to get over yourself and understand that you can do this and that you have enough authority and clout in your own way that I can show you how to unlock in this next section here. All right, so here is the quick and down and dirty cure for imposter syndrome. There's a few hacks I like to use personally and that I've heard from other people that kind of help me get through and actually produce content and help the world, which is what I think I'm doing here. So I'll share with you two methods, the A to Z map method and the simple who can I help method. Okay, let's just do a quick down and dirty on each one of these. So let's think about a map here. So if we are going from A to Z in whatever your subject matter is, whether it's WordPress, tech tutorials or tools and things like that, like I like to do, or if it's on marketing or freelancing or dog grooming or, nursing or whatever the case might be, there's a spectrum of knowledge, right? There is letter A, like the beginning of the alphabet. You don't know anything about it. You don't even know what you don't know at that point. And then there's level Z, or letter Z, where it's absolute mastery, where you know every single thing there is possibly to know about this. And just a quick disclaimer, nobody is really at level Z, right? Like everybody can always get better at the thing that they are working on. So we say mastery, but if you're in a dynamic field, like most things in the world are, there's new innovations, there's new things coming out all the time. And while you can strive to stay on the cutting edge, the bleeding edge of that field, this should help you right here. Nobody is omniscient. Nobody knows everything there is to know about something. You might feel that there are certain people that are at letter Z, but they're probably at letter X or Y. There's always more to learn. And that person, I guarantee you, always feels like there's more to learn. So that in and of itself means that on the spectrum, nobody is perfect. So you should feel okay with where you're at to be able to teach somebody who's lesser than you, which we'll talk about here. So again, zero knowledge to perfect omniscient mastery of something. And there's a ton of letters in between of different levels of understanding. And wherever you're at, let's say you are, for example, here at growing your skill in a particular thing, like you're kind of midway, you're good at it. You're not an expert. You wouldn't call yourself an expert. And maybe people would not call you an expert either. But even somebody here who's growing in their skill, they can teach somebody who has zero knowledge about the thing. Let's say, for example, it's freelance writing. If you are decent, you've done freelance writing for a while, you're getting good clients, you can teach somebody who has zero knowledge of it the beginner's guide to freelancing writing, right? The benefit of this, you might think, oh, well, wouldn't it be better if a master taught that person? No, not at all. Not in any way, shape, or form. Because there's a curse of knowledge. And the curse of knowledge in a nutshell is that once you know something, once you understand something, you forget what it is like to not know that thing. And so if you are here at a mastery level, there are certain nuances or details that the absolute beginner needs to know that you've totally not forgotten about, but you've absorbed into your knowledge and into your experience in that thing, that you might not be the best teacher to a beginner. Whereas somebody who has recently graduated from zero knowledge to being a beginner to now growing in their skill, they are way more qualified, honestly, to be teaching somebody with zero knowledge because they can be more relatable. They can say, hey, I remember because I was where you are now just 2 years ago. And while I'm still growing, here's how I overcome the struggles that you're currently having, right? Because the person who's at zero knowledge, they have different struggles. They have a different challenge to overcome than somebody who is a competent person trying to become a master. As your skill grows, your problems grow, and the challenges you're facing grow and evolve as well. So don't feel like you have to be the master to teach the basics. But also, don't be a medium tier person and trying to teach a master, right? Obviously you need to work lower down in the alphabet. If you're at level M right now, you can teach somebody who's at level A. And if you're competent, you can teach somebody who's a beginner. As you progress in your skill, which you will, because as many know, teaching is one of the best ways to actually learn something. When you can learn a topic so well that you can teach it coherently in a way that's actionable, can be digested easily, that's how you really solidify the knowledge on your own. So even if you're not trying to do this from authorship perspective or to actually profit from this, blogging is a fantastic way for you not only to share your growing authority, but for you to actually improve your own ability to learn that craft as you go, right? So small little aside on that point there. And similarly, as you become the master, right, which I just said, nobody's actually the master at anything, but once you get to that very accomplished level, yeah, you can teach up as you go. Once you get to being, extremely competent, it's really just learning and finding a few mentors that can help you to get to that mastery level. So I hope this helps. Does this help? Because now you have at least a very solid framework that no matter where you are, if you are at zero knowledge, yeah, you're probably not ready to write a book yet, right? I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't be here right now thinking, okay, I want to learn about crocheting kitten mittens or whatever the case might be. If you know nothing about it, don't write a book about it. But you're clearly passionate about a certain topic, which is why you're here. You're taking this course. So you're probably either a beginner or you're growing in your skill. And if you feel like you don't have the authority to teach that skill yet, Get rid of that thought in your mind because you can relate better to the people who are just getting started. You can write a perfect beginner's guide, and you can even provide better tips and tricks and cheat sheets and methods because you've recently overcome that struggle versus the master. Okay? So the next method here is the who can I help method. And it's pretty simple. So I know you've overcome certain problems in your life. You've solved your own problems, you've figured things out, and you've probably developed your own style of doing something. Maybe you've read some blogs, you've learned some things, you've maybe taken a course in university or something like that. But you've synthesized all these different sources of knowledge into your own patented system, right? There might not be an original thought in that, right? It's okay. Even teachers in university, if they're teaching science, they didn't come up with all that stuff, right? Like they probably did some research and helped advance it, but they synthesize what they've learned from others. And so that's what you're allowed to do too. That's how education works. So don't feel like you have to be your own system to do. But what you have done is you've patented the ability to synthesize these different sources in this particular way and to be able to deliver it and teach it in your own particular method. That is something you can absolutely teach. So guess what? There are other people out there in the world who could benefit from those solutions that you've already discovered. Or maybe the ability to take, maybe there's 5 solutions out there that are freely available, but each one solution kind of misses the holistic picture. But if you've gone through and you've already wrestled with that beast, if you've already figured out how to take that knowledge and put it together and package it up in a way where these 5 disparate sources of knowledge can be turned into a composite, where it's your system of taking this and delivering it in a way that actually makes sense to somebody, that's something that somebody would love to teach because there are other people out there struggling with the same problems. Surprise! So instead of focusing on your official credentials, like your MBA or your Master Black Belt or whatever the case might be, you can focus on your own personal accomplishments and achievements in that area of expertise. In that example, you say, hey, if it's weight loss, I was at 260 pounds. I am now at 175 pounds. I've learned ketogenic diet. I've learned carnivore diet. I've learned vegan diet, and I've figured out how it works best for me. And if you fit this description of things I've been through, this can help you as well. Click below and learn more about it. So there are ways that you can focus on your own credentials and not always go after these big accolades and things like that to help sell your products and help people ultimately. Over time though, like your personal accomplishments is one data point. It's not really statistically significant. It's not as compelling as it would be to have social proof. If you go to Amazon, the first thing you do is you click on a product and you look at the reviews, the star ratings, how many reviews there are, and then you go and you read the reviews, right? We care about what other people have experienced more than the company trying to sell their products themselves. So over time, you'll be able to build those testimonials and success stories and happy customers that you can showcase and help sell your products. And once you're there, you're off to the races. Once you've actually proven to others that you can help them and they're happy enough to actually share their story with future customers, that's when you can create this self-perpetuating cycle of social proof begetting more social proof, which can elevate you to that, if you want to be called a guru status, or just somebody with authority in your area. So that's the who can I help method that can be very simple and helpful as well. And also finally, if you're still on the journey, there's still a process, a way you can get through this as well. So if you're still on your journey from problem to solution in whatever the field is, don't discount the progress you've already made. So I used to work for Toyota and Lexus as an engineer, and I loved Lexus's motto of the pursuit of perfection, right? So why would a luxury car model, like they're supposed to be the cream of the crop, they're competing with Mercedes-Benz and BMW and the best brands out there for quality. So why would they say the pursuit of perfection and not simply, hey, we're perfect by us? Why do they do that? Well, the reason is no one and nothing is perfect. And this goes back to the MAP method from earlier about mastery. So nobody in this world is perfect. No car manufacturer, no digital marketer, no freelance writer is perfect. Every competitor at every stage is looking up to the people who have already achieved more than they have at that given point in time, right? My wife and I, we fall prey to this ourselves. We're at different stages in our respective brands. She's been at this longer than I have. And I look up to her and I was like, man, she's achieved a lot. I've helped, but she's achieved a lot. And can look up to people who've achieved more and be like, oh my gosh, like I'm really just at the tip of the iceberg here. which is great. Like, you can either take that with a negative connotation, like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there, or you can use it to fuel you helping more people and scaling your business further. The choice is yours. So whatever level you're at now, there are people above you and people below you. The goal instead is to enjoy the pursuit of perfection while accepting where you currently are. So be okay, be happy, never be content, but be okay with where you're at right now, knowing there is a next level, and knowing that also there's levels below where you're at right now that you can help. So that was like a quick little woo-woo session about mindset and all that. I'm not a life coach or anything like that, but we all struggle with imposter syndrome. So those are a few, hopefully, tactical thought processes you can employ to say, okay, I can do this. Let's build a business now. All right, so we've got an overall process of what we're going to achieve here, what road we're going to take to get there, and we'll get into each one of these points individually. So first and foremost, we're going to brainstorm and organize your thoughts about your given topic, and I'll give you an example to make this very real world, real life about this. We'll do that first. Next, we're going to go through and do a quick unedited recording session to get these thoughts not on paper, but into audio and video format, which we'll discuss in a second. We're going to show you how to easily transcribe this for very, very cheap to get a good working first draft of your book. We'll also show you how to do some copy editing and building out a designed ebook and everything beautiful like that. The final steps are the fun steps, which is building that value ladder of multiplying that individual product we just built from steps 1 through 4 and turning that into 4 or 5 different products that we can sell. And finally, step 6, to sell that product and build the business around it, right? So a lot in here. We're going to cover this pretty quickly, but you can come back and record this and watch this over a couple times, and you'll be able to get this over time. Trust me, like, just by doing this process, like just taking it step by step, you'll be able to achieve the result. And more valuably, if you ever find the desire to go into a different niche or a different industry, or maybe even just go deeper into your own industry, this process can be used over and over and refined in your own way. So I'm going to walk you through step 1 through 6 here, and you can take that back and evolve it from there. All right. So step 1, we're going to organize our thoughts, and I'll give you a system to do that as well. All right, I feel examples always help to make things kind of real and understandable. So we're going to be working with Julie here today. So Julie's been doing freelance writing for a few years, and she's probably at that competent stage. She's not a master by any stretch of the imagination, but she knows enough that people are starting to ask her some questions along the way. So they're asking her things like, how are you finding such good clients? And my clients are stinky, whatever the case might be. How are you managing your time between doing the work, fulfilling the jobs, and doing business development, outreaching, and finding new clients? How do you decide what to charge for your work? And how do you deal with bad clients when they inevitably come up, right? So she's feeling this. She doesn't really have a log of these questions, but she has conversations with other people in her space, and she keeps getting some of these questions asked over and over, okay? So where there's a problem, there's a product waiting to be built to solve that problem, okay? So that's just like, if people start asking you because they're having problems and they're sharing your problems with you, you're in a good place. If you're not there, blogging is a fantastic way to start building up that community, that audience, doing podcasts, doing YouTube, whichever form of creating content and putting goodwill out into the world. You want to start building a voice that people can respond to and share with you their voice and their problems. So after Julie gets these questions enough times, she's like, she decides she'll use this method to build a business around helping other freelancers improve their businesses. And here's a process she's going to follow that we're going to talk about in this course here. So she starts out with step 1, which is organizing her thoughts and brainstorming and outlining. So she's going to brainstorm her knowledge of the overall topic into a structured outline. And don't make this too crazy. Don't be, I'm an engineer, so I like to get like 17 layers of indentations. I have 1.1, then 1.1.1.2, and then 1.2.1.2. No, stop. Just 2 levels deep is plenty. You'll understand why in just a second. So in this example here, just to give you an idea of the outline, bullet point number 1, how to find good clients as a freelance writer. Point A, best places to do outreach. Point B, the process of connecting and closing, how to brand yourself. Moving on to main point number 2, how to manage your time between client work and business development. You see, we're taking the exact questions that she's hearing and making those kind of big chapters in what's going to become our book on freelance writing. So yours may look different, whatever your niche is. There are some guidelines I'll give you in just a second. But ultimately, you want to structure this in a way that if somebody with zero knowledge were to stumble across this outline, it would logically take them from no knowledge to having kind of the tips and the tricks and an actionable outline to achieve that goal. Don't go into too crazy detail. You're not dealing with full sentences here. You're just setting a timer. Let's say I set a timer for 15 minutes and just focus on this and just put out all your thoughts, and you can rearrange them and move them together once you're done doing that. So it's just a brain dump. Don't take it too seriously. Just put out your information. It's also not a script. Do not do anything word for word. Just logically work yourself through it. You're going to use this a lot going forward. So some guidelines here as you're working through this process. For a book, for kind of a beginner's book to get them into your niche and your area and to learn about you, I would say between 3 and 6 main topics, those top line bullets, those are going to become your chapters in your book. Pretty simple, right? There might be an introduction and a conclusion and things like that, but in the middle of it, there's going to be those main meaty points that are going to be your big pillars to help people go from what they don't know to what they should know. And then just to kind of give you some guidelines, try to keep the chapters relatively similarly filled with content. So with your subtopics, 3 to 5 to 6, kind of see what feels right. It also depends on how specific your bullet points are. So you want to try to make sure that not 80% of your content is in one chapter and then there's just like nothing outside of that one chapter. So find a way to evenly space out, and you should be able to see, and I'll show you in a second an example, you should be able to see a spaced out outline that kind of allows you to pace yourself through the content here. Like I said before, start from the basics. Do not assume that people have that basic level of understanding. We mentioned the curse of knowledge earlier in the course, where there are certain things you might think, oh yeah, that's just obvious. I'm not going to explicitly say that. No, slap yourself. You need to get down to the basics and pretend they have zero knowledge about the topic. That's going to ensure that that they start from wherever their different various spots are of knowledge when they start. And by the time they end, they'll all be on the same track. And some things might be redundant for some people, but that's how everything is, right? Like if you've learned anything about the computer and then you go and look at another Computer for Dummies book, there's going to be some things that are repetitive. Don't keep that out for the sake of brevity. You want to make sure that people follow along with you step by step. And to help you out with this, I put together a little template here that you can use. So in this example I'm using, it's got some instructions as well. There's kind of a very, very condensed version of what we're talking about here in the course. We'll just kind of skip down to the outline itself. So you want to have your target prospect. What is the thing you're teaching? What is the avatar you're working with? So in this example here, I'm going to tell corporate Americans, I'm going to help them escape from having a dead-end corporate job, never seeing their families, which was the life I was living just a couple of years ago. And in this book, I'm going to help them arrive at a location. So the destination, not a physical place, but the destination here is having a self-directed agency business model where they're seen as the expert in their field. They can control their work schedule, their income, and ultimately their life and their schedule. So it helps to have those big goalposts. So who are you talking to? Where are they right now? And by the end of the book, where will they be? I like having those 3 goalposts figured out first before you start outlining. And then you get into the outline where it's really just here. I've got 9 different bullet points here. So I like this topic. So I kind of got a little bit too busy and too big on it here. But you can do whatever feels right for you. If you want to have a 30-page ebook or you want to have a 250-page ebook, ultimately it's up to you. But I don't want to overwhelm them either with the content for just a front-end offer. So we have our main points here, and then for each one, I have 3 bullet points. I just told myself, okay, put out 3 bullet points, and there might be more, might be less. I'll be able to riff off this in a second. We'll just show you in the next section of the course here. But you want to have a structure you can follow through. All right, so that's my example outline. I'll leave a link in this video lesson where you can download this as well. Make a copy of it in Google Slides, or Google Docs. Just come here and say make a copy, because I'll be sharing view only, so you can't edit my document, but you can make a copy and play with it as you'd like. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. Back to the course. So step 2, once you've done the outline work, which should take a good couple hours, take your time. It's like the better job you do on step 1 is going to make the rest of the steps way easier. So take your time and do a good outline there. Don't rush it. Once you're happy with it, step 2 is to record an either audio or video or both rough draft of the topic. And I'll explain that here. So you want to turn this outline to life. So you have a structure of your book laid out through the outline. It's time to add in the real content, the meat and potatoes of it, right? Like you have the structure. Now it's time to really fill it out with content. There's two ways of accomplishing this, and I'll give you my recommendation. So there's the easiest way and the lowest tech requirement way. And there's a slightly harder way, but my preferred way is method number 2, because there's more you can do with the end product. There's more ways to profit from the work in step 2 or option number 2. And, when we build out our sales funnel from this process, you'll see why I like option 2. It comes in really around the bump offer there. But either way, it works. So option number 1 is audio only. And basically you just get your phone out. So I'm so happy. I've got the Google Pixel 4. I'm finally done with Apple, and it's a happy day for me. So anyways, get your phone out, go to the voice recording app, put it on, and simply talk through your outline point by point. You're going to have your outline on your computer screen or on your laptop, and you'll be talking into your microphone like this. And don't worry about being perfect. Don't worry about complete sentences. You simply want to get the points across, taking it nice and slow, speaking coherently. Don't rush through it or ramble on too much, but you want to fill out the content bullet by bullet. And because you did a good job in step 1, you have a logical outline where if you just focus on each point individually and you just dump out everything you know about that point, as you go step by step by step through your outline, you'll be building out enough content for a quality book that you'll be amazed at how much written content can come from talking for 15 minutes, for 20 minutes, for 45 minutes, for an hour. A lot of words can actually come out of this. And when we get into the later steps of copy editing, your brain dump on this topic, hopefully it's rather coherent. But as you brain dump out walking through the content, you have all the makings of a fantastic book on your topic. Okay. You might feel weird just talking to yourself when you're doing this, so pretend like you're sitting down with an interested friend who knows nothing about your topic. So both of those are important points. So an interested friend is somebody you can feel colloquial with, right? Like it's not a lecture hall in university where you're talking to 300 people that don't really want to be here. Like this person wants to be here. He or she is like, yeah, teach me everything you know about freelance writing from Julie. So you can feel comfortable to talk to them in a natural tone. You don't need to be preachy or speaking as though you're coming from the ivory tower, giving the gospel or anything like that. Just talk through your content very naturally and happily if you can. Additionally, because I know nothing about the topic, by thinking, okay, I'm teaching to my friend, let's call him Spencer or whatever the case might be, because he or she knows nothing about your topic, you're not going to make the mistake of forgetting to cover the basics and cover it in a way that an absolute beginner would understand. So pretend like you have that interested friend who knows nothing and walk them through the entire process together. Don't rush it. Don't force it. And don't worry about the ums and ahs. I'm going to show you a little hack that I absolutely love. If you go with version number 2, that's going to help the editing process be super easy or even non-existent if you like. So that was option 1 with just doing the audio. Option 2 requires a little bit more tech. It requires you to have a computer, which you probably already have, right? It also requires you to have a webcam or at least the integrated webcam on a laptop or something like that. And I would prefer having a nice microphone, but you can get by with most laptop microphones are okay, or you can get like a $20 lavalier, a little clip-on microphone from Amazon that will do perfectly fine as well. And you can also plug in, if you have Apple earpods or anything like that, any little headphones that can give you slightly better audio quality would be sufficient for this step. So what you do in this case is kind of like what I'm doing right now, is you would take the content of your outline and you would transfer that over as many slide decks, as many PowerPoint slides as you need to allow it to flow a little bit. Maybe that's every main point is a slide, and then the sub points have its own slide or a couple slides as you're going through, just to allow you to pace yourself. And you're creating this using a software I'll just talk about in a second. You're creating this overall video experience. It's not necessarily an ebook. It's not really a course. It's like an in-depth, more intimate, more personal explanation of the topic. And like I'm teaching this to you, it feels very intimate. It feels like we're in the room together because it's just you and me. You can go at it at your own pace, and I'm walking it through step by step, and I'm trying to leave nothing out in the process. So it's a nice experience. So the program I'm using right now to record this course is called Screencast-O-Matic. There will be a link down below as well for all the resources that we're using here. And what I love about it is it's super cheap. It's like $1 a month or something like that, something ridiculous. So cost is not a problem. It also allows me to move the webcam around or make myself bigger as we're talking or make myself smaller as it needs to be. Or if there's a very busy slide, I can hide it completely. So there's a lot of things that you can do on the fly to reduce your editing time and make you more efficient. But the most important thing that I like is the simple editing of the ums. So let me show you what that looks like here. So when I finish up a recording, I will go here on the editing software for Screencast-O-Matic. This is here for Windows and for Mac. And at the end of the recording, there's a little magic button here under the audio options here for an exclamation mark. I can click on that, and the software will automatically find any sections. It's kind of hard to see, but there are little red lines here where it automatically detected silence, and I was able to cut them all out in one fell swoop. I can just click a button, and all my editing, for the most part, is done because all the silences between thoughts can be taken out in one fell swoop. So to do that effectively, and a process that if you want to do a lot of video content, I highly recommend you get in the habit of doing, is don't be afraid of silence. So if you have a thought on your mind and you know what you want to deliver, say that idea, say that thought as coherently as possible. But when it comes time for you to generate the next thought, feel free to stop for 3, 4, 5 seconds without stopping the video or anything like that. Just go into silent mode, think through your thoughts, and then deliver the next content, the next concept, the next idea, the next sentence. Because if you get into that habit, your editing process through Screencast-O-Matic will take care of itself. When you're done with the recording, you'll have all these gaps of silence, but when you are speaking, it's more coherent, it's more thought out, it's more well planned, and so you can just cut out the silences in one fell swoop. And yeah, it's not the most professional looking, it's not these crazy transitions or fantastic 3D effects, which you don't need. Ultimately, they want knowledge, they want information, they want transformation of themselves, and a slide deck that has some cuts here and there when the person's thinking through the next idea or the next thought, that's way better than a crummy delivery of content with fancy transitions. So that's my preferred method. And I prefer to call it the 100-hour editing hack because over the last year or two, I've done over 300 videos on Screencast-O-Matic, and I've probably spent only a couple of dozen hours of editing. And back in the day, before I found this out and I started employing this for my own marketing and my own video creation, I would spend, for every hour of video, I'd probably spend 2.5 hours of editing time. So now it's totally on its head, and I can just crank out more content, more value for you. So take that back. That in and of itself is worth the price of admission, and I just love this program so much. I should be an advisor for it. Anyways. All right, so you have your outline, you have your video content or your audio content, whichever option you chose. Again, I like option 2 better, Screencast-O-Matic. So the next step is to get that audio or video transcribed on Fiverr, or you can go to Upwork or other places. I'll use Fiverr in this example, but any contract labor marketplace or freelance marketplace will work just fine. So I'll walk you through how to find somebody like this, but just remember this is a marketplace. So do your own research, read some reviews, make sure you feel okay with it. You'll be able to get your transcription back in just a couple of days, depending on how long the video was that you sent over to them. And again, depending on length, it can cost you between $30, $60, $100 to get that transcription back. It's not a huge investment, but it's a huge time saver versus typing it all out. Like I like to blog. I enjoy the process of getting my thoughts out on paper. But if I need to get a concept discussed quickly or shared quickly, video is simply a more efficient use of time. So the transcription won't be fully ready to be sold yet. So you're going to get this back and it's going to look like a word for word. It's probably going to have some ums in it. It's probably going to have some ramblings in it that aren't quite right. It's not going to look like a book yet, but it'll give you that foundational piece of written content. It's going to take all your thoughts, put it into written content for the final step of turning into a book itself. All right. So I went to Fiverr.com and I simply searched for video or audio transcription, and you can see how people are providing this. It's $35 will give you up to 60 minutes of content, of video content or audio content, and they'll transcribe it like this, where it'll show you the minute or second of the thing as well as what's written. This is fantastic. This is hugely valuable. You could not do this on your own for this cheap. It's a beautiful thing. So let me just show you that real quick. We're going to go to Fiverr.com, and I'm just going to search for audio transcription. And what I like to do, same way when I'm purchasing from Amazon, is I want to look at my reviews, the stars, and how many reviews they have. So 800, over 1,000, 37, etc. Let's see here. So I'm going to check on this person. So high manual, high quality. And you want manual because what some people might do is just take your audio file and put it into something like a Google, if you upload something to YouTube, Google will automatically create transcriptions for you, but it's not very good. It's going to mess up a lot of words that a person would do correctly. So in this case, trans queen here, interesting name. You can see how many orders are currently being worked on. So it shows you that people are buying this person's services. It also might show you that she might have a bit of a backlog to work through. And let's see here. So basic, standard, and premium. And the big difference here is 60 minutes in 24 hours for $35. That's insane. I don't know how the quality would be, but if the quality were bad, I don't think she'd have over 1,500 5-star reviews, right? So you can click on that and rock and roll through the process. Do your own research. I'm not saying just use this person. I have no affiliate relationship with her or him if it's a him. Anyways, that's how you would go through and get the output would be this probably 30, 40, 50 page long Word document with all the text, all the content you just blurbed out onto your microphone into something that's going to be very perfect for the next step in the process, which is to send that transcription in to be copy edited. Now, this is different from a transcription, obviously. So now you're sending in a blurb of text, and somebody's going to turn that blurb of text into a flowing document. And this is fantastic. If you're not a writer, this is the best thing since sliced bread. If you are a writer, you do you. Like, I'm not going to tell you you have to follow this method. If you want to get something done in a reasonable time frame, this method is going to work for you. If you want to have your own control over it, I'll remind you, this is your brand. So if you're not a writer, fantastic, rock and roll. If you are a writer, it's going to be hard for the person who's taking your voice and turning it into your style of writing. So if you have specific flavors of how you want your written word to sound, you got to write it. Like, that should not be a surprise to you. But for the 80% of the rest of the world that don't necessarily care how the written word sounds, I mean, it's important that it gets the content out, but they will get the content out because you shared it verbally. It was transcribed, and now they're going to turn it into a book. So this is going to be pricier. I'll show you some examples as well, because they have to do a lot more thinking, a lot more work, some critical movement of pieces around. But at the end of the job, you'll have the words, not the design yet, but the words to make your entire book a reality. So here's an example here. So the standard package, and you can look at different packages, price per 3,000 words. So $50 for 3,000 words, and he'll do it for up to 300,000 words. So you can definitely scale it up as you need to. Depends on how long of a book you want to make. So if you're watching through this entirely before you get started, you'll keep that in mind, depending on what your budget is. But he's going to take this transcription. So you'd send him the basic one, and he's going to go through and make all the edits you need for an entire book. Let's just do a search here. We'll search for copy editing. So as I scroll through here, once again, I'm going to look for reviews. This guy has 700. This guy has 32. Proofread and lightly copy edit 1,000 words of text. I probably want more than lightly copy editing. So I'm going to go with this guy, the best copy editor you have ever worked with. It's pretty good. And again, so copy edits, different price points depending on the words, and you can look through what he does there. So that's the idea of how you would go about getting your book copy edited. And as far as turnaround time, 10 days delivery. Now, this is obviously going to take longer than doing transcription, because transcription, they're just listening and banging out exactly what they're hearing. This guy is reading, developing the flow for the book and putting it together in a coherent way. So it takes a lot more time. So I said 1 day product creation masterclass. The work you're doing should only take about a day, but there's obviously some lead time for all these processes to happen, right? All right, so that's the copy editing piece of the pie. So at this point, you have your book ready to go. You're going to want to do some designing for it though as well, right? Like you might be able to simply toss it into Microsoft Word, or if you have Publisher or anything like that, and you can give it some design to make it look like a nice ebook. You can also go into Fiverr or Upwork and look for ebook designer, and they can take your text content and turn it into a book. I wouldn't go too crazy with the design. What I'd recommend you do, if there are graphical things you want to show, like screenshots or examples or diagrams, take some time to create those, or you probably have to create that if it's your niche and your industry. And you can simply use PowerPoint to create those images, those icons. But one thing you definitely want to have to help sell your book is a pretty ebook cover. There are tools like Glorify, which is a fantastic all-around graphic editing tool. One that I like to do for things like ebooks I'll show you that tool in just a second here. And once you have that ebook design, you have your product. You can save it as a PDF, slap the ebook, the cover on it, and you have your product ready to go. So let me show you real fast, just for fun, how to make an ebook cover look beautiful. So I'm going to Artboard Studio. This is a tool I use. There are a ton of web design tools and graphic design tools out there. This is one that I just happen to really enjoy. I'll log into it. All right, and let's just go ahead and start with a template. And I should be able to find one here for print mockups, because you want your book to look like a book. So as we look through here, you've got a lot of cool mockups we can work with here. So let me take this one here as a magazine mockup and just show you how awesome this is. So it loads up this mockup and it gives you an example book with a cover and everything ready to go. So all I want to do, if I want to get the quickest job done possible, I want to come up with a title. Well, you should have a title for your book, right? So get your title of the book, get an image that goes with it, and that's all you really need. Let's go ahead and place our design on the magazine itself. And it'll pull up what we have. So instead of this, I'm going to call this freelance writing secrets. And let's just spread this out. Probably want it to be like there, and I want it to fit. So let's do that. All right, I've got my title. Now this image does not really fit, so I want to remove that image. Quick little delete. And I want to find my own image. And one of the reasons why I like this tool so much is you can get images directly in the platform. So I want to find writing. I'm just going to search for writing. And this one looks fine. For the sake of this example, I'm not going to stress out about this too much. Let's bring this down to the bottom so it's a backdrop. And let's scale it up so it fits. And I want to do an overlay just to make this a little bit darker. So I'll add an overlay by simply creating a dark color with some opacity. Let's bring this shape just in front of my image and scale it up. Boom. And then you can change the text here. So we'll call this John Whitford. And we'll say freelance writer extraordinaire, if I do say so myself. All right, so we have our cover, our ebook cover here. We're going to come out. And now it looks a little bit dark and bland and kind of boring. Maybe I'll change this color real fast here. But you get the idea. Right? And I'm just going to export this out as a picture. And now I have a high quality, it's a ebook cover that I'd be happy to sell. And this is actually a good advertising box art that you can put on your sales page and things like that as well. So fantastic. And if you need any help, you can, I do this as well for fun. If you want some help with your ebook design, I'd be happy to help you out as well on my services page on the website. But, ultimately, I would just say get the software, the money you would pay somebody else to do that. You're going to make other ebook, other graphics as well. Just learn how to do it. It's fun to do anyways. Okay. So we got our ebook designed. Everything's ready to go. We are ready now to sell our ebook, right? So we've gone through, let's just go back real fast here to the process. So we've brainstormed and organized our thoughts into that structured outline. We've recorded our unedited expertise. And hopefully if you did the Screencast-O-Matic version, you've got something here that's even higher value than just audio. You've transcribed it through Fiverr or some other network like that. You've done the copy editing. So now you have a book ready to go. And I should have added in step 4.5 of have some sort of design work and graphics to help you sell the book. But let's just add that in here real fast here. Copy, edit, design, ebook, /cover. Okay. So we have all that. Now it's time to build out our value ladder to sell this thing here. So let's do this right now. So I'm going to give you the example from Julie from earlier, right? So she was doing freelance writing. So here's an example. But before we get into the example, like the definition of a value ladder is this. So in a business, if you think about pretty much any business that's run really well, they don't just have one product to sell, right? They might have a basic free item, like a free tier or a free plan, like apps on your phone. There's a free version, then there's a paid version, right? So they have something at the low end here. That would be what we call a lead magnet, or something to get people interested in your business. But then they have something that requires you to open your wallet up. This is called a tripwire, or something that, I don't like that term, but the idea is it's going to separate out people who are willing to actually open their wallets, but they're making a very small commitment on you, a very small risk on you by maybe offering something for $7 or $10, something that they're not going to miss. And if it goes south, that's not the end of the world. Above the tripwire, or the smallest level of monetary investment, you're going to go into your core offering. This thing that you're really trying to sell and that you're trying to lead people into is up at that middle tier. And then your ladder can go higher or lower. There's a couple different examples we'll cover in this slide deck here that allows you to maximize your profit, increase your customer retention. The idea being, though, that you have a core idea. So in this example, the business's core idea is around freelance writing. Now we're going to build out a business model of different products and where they would fit in and how you would sell them based on that core idea. Okay. So walking through this core idea, maybe we have a free checklist that we could take honestly from that outline we made earlier. So you've got this whole outline, maybe a portion of it is negotiation tactics with new clients. So you can create a checklist of 10 negotiating tactics to help you find better freelance writing clients, right? You can make a one pager and use that as something that you could give out in exchange for an email address using a sales funnel. And I've got an entire separate training on sales funnels, and one that would perfectly mimic what we're talking about here, that would help you kind of set that up step by step. All right, so that would be your lead magnet, your free offer. Now you're going to start to offer them something to buy. So after they sign up for the checklist, what you can do, instead of simply giving them the thing, you can email them the thing that they wanted, but the thank you page, once they give you their email address, can take them to what's called a one-time offer page, which would make them a very discounted offer. Maybe you sell your ebook for $37, but if you buy right now, I know you want the checklist for how to do this. So this book contains so much more than just that information. It covers yada, yada, yada. You can sell the book a little bit there, and you offer them the book at a steep discount. Let's say $7 for this freelance writer's secrets book, the ebook version, right? If they take you up on the ebook, on that checkout page, you can do what's called a bump offer. And so this is the beauty of why we're doing this method and the multiplication of these products. So they bought an ebook for $7, a pretty reasonable price, right? No big deal on that. But people are used to paying a little bit more for audiobooks and even more for video courses, right? So what you can do is, let's say this video you're watching right now was an example of this. I could package this up and maybe call it a video course, maybe call it a video intensive. I'm not entirely sure how you would call it, and that's going to depend on your industry as well, right? But let's just say a video course. Hey, would you like to take this even further with my video version of the course? It gives you visuals, it gives you more intimacy with me, and maybe there's some other additional benefits here. Check here to increase your order to that new value. Maybe the audiobook is $17 and the video course could be $37, right? So are those crazy prices to ask for? No, not really, but they're optional. If they buy the book at $7, they don't need to buy the video course, but it's a way to increase your profit with zero additional work. You simply do the editing I taught you how to do earlier in the course on Screencast-O-Matic. You can save that video to Vimeo, to any video hosting platform, or even YouTube, depending on if YouTube is fine for most people, and sell that as well. So that would be the bump offer. And so if they do purchase, whether it's just the ebook or the ebook with one of these optional offers, you can show them what's called a one-click upsell. So this is something that happens after the purchase. So on the thank you page, it's going to say, hey, thank you for your order. Would you like to take this further? Would you like me to personally help you implement your freelance writing, I offer one-on-one consulting, and normally I charge $500 an hour or whatever the case might be. If you purchase now, we can set up a time for only $197 for a 2-hour intensive or 2-hour, 1 hour, whatever works for you. The idea here is you have another offering you can make with zero additional work. By selling an ebook, you've already shown some authority in the area. Hey, this person he literally wrote the book on freelance writing. So now you have an initial clout, like you have already some initial authority built up that you can leverage to sell services to help them achieve it better than the book can do on its own. Some people learn well by reading. Other people need somebody to bounce ideas off of and to have the experience. And even though you could have put all the information you have on the topic in an ebook, some people just need the accountability and need somebody to actually tell them what to do. And that's where consulting can really be helpful. If they take you up on the consulting offer, you could be done right then and there. But what I'd recommend you consider is you can even upsell from there an annual coaching plan. Now, obviously, they're probably going to want to have a one-on-one session with you before they commit to an entire year, but you can always sweeten the pot and say, hey, if you haven't even read the book yet, but because I know you so badly want to fix the problem you're facing here, this freelance writing, if you want to have the coaching and accountability throughout the entire year of 2020 or 2021, you can click here below and I can upgrade your consulting session to my monthly plan, which normally runs for $17 million or whatever the case might be. And you can get it now for only $14.97, or you pick your price points, but I'm giving you some nice benchmarks, some nice pricing points that make sense for what you're offering here. And that could be one-on-one individual. You can phone call me, you can text me on Slack or whatever the case might be, however you want to make that available. It's an offering you can do with zero initial upfront work. You're not creating any more products, you're offering services at that point, which is fantastic. But now what happens if they say no to the annual coaching and they say no to the one-on-one coaching, right? Like if they don't even get here, they bought the book and they didn't take your one-time offer. You don't have to let them go yet. You could let them go and simply say, okay, thank you. Please check your email to get everything that you just purchased. Or you can use what's called a downsell, which is kind of like a save the sale. So maybe $197 upfront is too rich for them. I don't blame them. What you could offer though is maybe you have a group coaching, maybe you have a forum, or you have a membership site, or you have a Facebook community where for $37 per month, you can get in and bounce ideas off of other freelance writers, have the accountability, have monthly prompts, whatever the case might be. You can figure out what to place in those communities, which is going to depend on what your specific niche and industry is, but you know what would help them be successful. You can offer that to them and create that business model up front. Some popular options here is you can just charge them $37 for that month and then it's going to rebill them every month. Or you can do something like a $1 trial for 7 days or $1 trial for the first month, whatever you want to do. Ultimately, what this does though is it allows you to build recurring revenue from the initial relationship. And if they say no to these different offers, you don't have to say, oh, well, sorry. You can always remarket them later on through email because you have their email address from step one. So this is how you can build out from a single day of work. You created an ebook, right? This was honestly the most work of the entire process. But from this, you can easily extract a checklist that kind of covers some of the key points of your ebook in a nice, quick, digestible format. And if they take your checklist, they're more likely going to take your ebook, right? And if they take your ebook, they're going to have a logical, tendency to actually at least consider, would it be nice to listen to this while I'm jogging, while I'm at the gym? Audiobook would be a great upsell, a great bump offer there. Or if they're visual learners, they need to have that relationship with the user. A video course makes sense. It's also higher value than simply audio. So those are logical conclusions there. And if their pain is bad enough, if they want to solve the problem badly enough, they might ask for one-on-one help. Or if they just know themselves and they know, hey, I need help to do this because I just don't have the motivation, then one-on-one coaching is a great upsell. Group coaching for a reasonable price per month is a good downsell, and annual coaching plans. You can see how you can ascend the value ladder or even descend the value ladder as you're going through the sales process. Isn't that cool? So what we've done here is we've created a best case scenario of almost $2,000 of recurring revenue, right? Like a very small offer up front. But if they take you up on that annual coaching plan and, there's a chance they're going to continue on and all that good stuff, you've got a lot of value you can create very quickly on the front end of your funnel. Now, should you expect for 100% of your people to take you up on annual coaching when they first meet you? Of course not. But it's a normal distribution. You're going to have a spectrum of people, some who just want the free, some who just want the $7, but there will be those who maybe they've heard about you from other ways, or if they just have that burning problem right now, they're going to take you up on certain offers at a certain percentage. Now, you can use conversion rate optimization, which I have other trainings on as well, to improve your conversion rates of those offers to make sure that, hey, instead of 1 out of 100 taking it, maybe I can get to 2 out of 100 or 7 out of 100 to take the offer. That'll increase your profit every day. But this creates the baseline. It creates a foundation, a good starting place where the offer is logical and it allows you to really mix and match a lot as you go through. All right. Isn't that cool? Isn't that powerful? So let's just go through a few final thoughts here. So while the process to create your professional ebook might take a week or two to have completed, right? Like it was 10 days for copy editing. And of course, if it's a really big book, it's going to take longer. It's only going to take you about a day's worth of work of actually sitting down and creating the content and doing all this from you to do it, right? It's going to take a lot of revisions and talking to Fiverr contractors and things like that. But your work is going to be very limited in the process. So by the end of this process, you might be invested in a couple $100s in, but you're going to get an entire book and an entire business model out, a set of assets that you can sell over the course of months and years. And you can build a list of buyers. You can build a list of people who just want your checklist, people who want your book, people who take your coaching call. You'll be able to segment out and build this amazing list that you can then monetize later on at what's called the back end of the funnel, right? So this is kind of the front end. If we go back here, this is from when they first introduce themselves to you and they first give you their email address. This is called the front end. If they take you up on this, you can get to what's called a profitable front end, which means that if you are using Facebook to drive traffic to this funnel, to this free checklist offer, you might put $100 into Facebook ads and get 95, 105, a similar amount of money out just from that. What does that allow you to do? Every day you can put $100 in, get $100 out, and get, let's say, 50, 60 new leads on your email list. This allows you to very quickly build and scale your business by building up an awesome, engaged list of buyers. And because you can do that and build that list, even if they don't purchase on that initial sales funnel, you can continue to retarget them, either using retargeting ads or using email marketing, which we can talk about in different trainings, to get them in to buy the products. I mentioned this earlier on in the course, but it's worth reiterating. Remember that while you're not actually writing the words, your fingers are not the ones on the keyboards, your readers will think that you wrote it. So you want to make sure that you can sign off on the quality. Going to Fiverr, going to Upwork, you might get mixed results, and that's why you really rely on the revisions, on the reviews, and on social proof, and you might have to test a person or two. Books can be a massive authority builder quickly. Like you can build a lot of authority if you have a really good book, but if you have a bad book and it doesn't come out well and it's filled with errors and typos and things like that, it can also destroy your authority. So you want to be careful, treat it like it's your own baby and sign off on the quality before you go and you sell the thing, right? And so the example sales funnel and value ladder that I covered here allows you to add a lot of value, a lot of potential profit and potential help for your audience, right? Like one-on-one coaching is a fantastic thing to offer. It allows you to increase that profitability of your funnel without adding upfront creation time. But there's a lot of other things you can do to improve your sales funnel's effectiveness. And you can use A/B testing to check all these out. Things you can do is, while the video version of the book might be enough for you, you might want to go in and make it a full video course of different lessons and modules and worksheets and all this good stuff. And you can package that up as well and sell. You can do checklists and resources, or if there's a software that you can either sell as a white label or develop yourself, depending on what your industry is, that could be something to look into. A special members area that could be different from the group coaching. Different things you can do to package up and play around with. All right, so let's just recap real quick here what we learned. So what we learned is how a single well-spent day can transform into a series of 5 or 6 different offerings that you can combine to form a profitable sales funnel and really the basis for a business that can be scaled extremely well and extremely quickly through paid advertising. We also learned how to leverage your strengths and incorporate others to achieve the goal, right? Like bringing in a designer, bringing in somebody to do the transcription and copy editing. It doesn't all have to be you. So this is how you can start to build into a CEO and not simply a guy working like a self-employed person. It allows you to build a company or an empire that you can use those skills later on. And finally, we also showed you how to structure that set of offerings, those offers, into a sales funnel that can flow logically and in a high converting way that can be sold for, in aggregate over $1,000. If they take you up on the upper end spectrum, you can, even just one person taking that annual subscription plan can pay for so many ads down the road to allow you to maintain profitability and continue to scale up your advertising. Isn't that exciting? So if you liked this, if you enjoyed this training, I really enjoyed my time with you and sharing all this information and knowledge and tactics with you. If it seems like it's just too much for you, if you want some help to walk through that, I'm happy to help you. You can head over to my services page, incomemesh.com/services. And I do help out people on an hourly basis or on a project basis, depending on what you want. You can book a discovery call with me and we can dive in and see what makes sense. And aside from that, feel free to check out my resources page at incomemesh.com/resources to get additional trainings or checklists and cheat sheets and other things that can help you out. All right, so I'm going to sign off here. This has been a fantastic training. My voice is a little bit hoarse and sore. I'm going to go get a Coke to, help me out there. But thank you so much for this training. I hope you feel like you can do this. Ultimately, that was my goal, was to empower you and show you the step-by-step process to get your voice out there in a sellable and marketable way. Right? So there's still more to do in this. I mean, creating a sales page and the actual sale. I showed you the sales funnel structure, but there's so much more in it. So look forward to more trainings in the near future to help you build out the entire process step by step. All right, guys, I'm John from incomemesh.com signing off, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.